Bonjour, Sat Shri Akal, Namaste. Do not be pushed by your problems, but be led by your dreams. Today, we are in segments of AWOW and You Multicultural, covering a very important topic that does get overlooked, but it is essential to talk about and take away the stigma that is associated with it, which is mental health. But moving on, we will be addressing it as emotional wellness. I do have very important guests with me today who are very experienced in their own industries and doing a lot to our community to take that, making their own efforts in taking this mental health to an emotional wellness so that people can talk about it and be comfortable about it, right? So starting off from the left side, I do have Dr. Zahara Sapiri, who is an award winner in law and medicine and is working at University of Manitoba in research in diabetes for Indigenous youth. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Next, moving on, we do have Rita Chahal, who is the Executive Director of Welcome Organization. I believe one of the organizations that does welcome all the refugees and provide all the support they need. Welcome to our show as well.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. And next on, we have Sharon Tapia, who is the founder of AWOW, that is making this whole initiative to bring AWOW and You Multicultural together. Welcome to our show again. So I would like to start, we're talking about health. I would say I want to start with you guys. How do you guys feel today? How are you?
Very good. Fantastic.
That's very good to know. And this is the answer we often get. I'm very well. I'm doing okay. I mean, it's just a thing that just comes out naturally.
That's
but
right.
hardly, I believe, people really think that. How are they actually feeling it? So, I just want to have the stage open to you and let us talk about it and, bring it all out. Why do we just step into I'm okay and we don't think about anything else behind?
I think one of the things that happens is that, when you're suffering from a cold or it might be something physical, that ails you, you recognize it. The person across the room from you will say, "Oh, you sound stuffed up today. You have a bad cold," and that's easy enough because people are open to, and there's no stigma around those things. However, not everyone knows what's going on inside of you. And so we tend to simply, brush it off and say, "Oh, I'm okay today," "Oh yeah, not too bad," without really thinking about or wanting to let others know how you're feeling inside. So it's a way, it's almost a guard that you have just to keep yourself, keep that wall around you without sharing what you're really feeling.
Right.
I would like to add a point to this that it's completely true, but sometimes you want to open up, but the other person doesn't have time or is not interested to listen. So it's a kind of mutual reaction that we say, "Hi, I'm good," and the other one is expecting that I say I'm good. They're not expecting that I make it long or I try to open up about whatever is happening in my life. So it's a kind of two-sided story.
I
agree with that.
Definitely. And did you want to add?
I think the same way. I think this is a fast-paced culture we all live in, and who has interest in you? Mostly people ask you how you're doing for the sake of
Formality.
asking or a routine thing, and they don't even have time to listen if you even say, "Yeah, I'm okay." I don't think they pay much attention even in the tone of your voice or the way you dressed up, maybe, if you look okay or not. But yeah, health, otherwise health I consider is a combination of your physical health, your emotional health, and your social health. And we always happen to say think about our physical health, and we say we are okay. Even though we are not okay.
As long as you're not feeling any aches and pains or fever, you're
we
okay.
consider health is only physical part, but this is not true, right?
Definitely. And there's a report that I found online. They did say that mental health, which I would say, it shouldn't be worded that way regardless, but as I would say, emotional wellness, right?
Right.
It is the 4th biggest cause of disabilities and it's said by WHO, the World Health Organization, and they have said by 2020 it will be the second cause, and soon by 2030 that would be the first cause of disability. So for sure, I mean, people tell when you're at networking events, the quickest way to start a short talk, right? Because you don't know, you want to start the conversation. Is it like you start them, how are you? And people now use weather as another source, right? So these conversations could be very, very, deep, and you could talk about stuff. It could be work related and you still talk about your stuff and, get into detail. And these topics could be explored more and talked about more other than attaching any fear or stigmas to it. So considering, we have already taken off a peel that health is not only physical health, it's internally what's going on in you. So what does, mental health, why do you think it's important and what does it mean to you?
Do you want to talk about it?
I think the mental health is of how you feel. Right? It's more about the feeling. And as you were saying, that the stigma around it, the moment somebody asks you how you're doing, you definitely will not have the courage to say I'm feeling down or good, because in our society it's expected from you, you're going to make an impression. Oh, I'm great, my business doing great, and maybe next day people will hear you committed a suicide and people will say, oh, I just met this person yesterday and they never said anything. They were always happy, they were always flying high on the cloud 9, and all of a sudden you think, you hear other things. And it's just I think it's just the society painting a picture of you always as a happy, as a having a perfect life.
And I agree with you, Sharon, that there's high expectations that others put on you in terms of you needing to be positive, you needing to keep your life together, get a life, as some people will say, go get a life, and things like that. And that adds added pressure. So I think that sometimes and you have to have a comfort level and a trust level to be able to share what's inside of you with others. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into emotional well-being. I like to think of it as mental well-being and emotional well-being, because those are some of the things that we deal with our clients that come, is because it's not always easily visible immediately, and because of some of the things that they've experienced over time, and that we start to see those impacts of those life experiences and the trauma that many of them have experienced later as they start to get settled in Canada.
Right. But the question again comes, why there is a fear associated? Why do they fear about talking about these topics? Like, I mean, I understand they are afraid that we will people will judge us. But things like, if it is on a personal level, that's a different story, right? But when people moving here and you deal with that on everyday basis, refugees coming here, but people are still afraid. Why do you think they don't want to open up?
Well, for us, one of the things that we observe with our clients is that when they first arrive in Canada, many of them have left very, very difficult circumstances: war, political unrest, religious persecution, a lot of things that you and I probably would never be familiar with, but they do. So when they first arrive, they're almost in a euphoric stage because they're so happy to be just safe and and Canada has accepted them. But when the reality starts to set in and they start thinking about what they've left behind, and of course many of them left good lives behind. They haven't. Nobody chooses to be a refugee.
Sure.
And so when they come here and then they're having to deal with the realities of here, maybe they had other expectations and they didn't meet those expectations. But also the psychosocial trauma that they bring with you, it starts to come out. And the reason then they start to open up with us is because of now they've established a bond and a trust with us. So our counselors can start to recognize some of the symptoms that they're experiencing. Withdrawing, crying often will be a thing. Sometimes it's rage. Sometimes it's a response to a sound.
Okay.
And so our clients are able to pick that up. And then we are we're not a mental health specialist, but what we can do is we start to recognize those, and we make sure that our clients are referred to the appropriate interventions and medical professionals who can give them the guidance, can give them the medication, who can ensure that they are hospitalized or get the psychosocial support and intervention that's needed. So that's, for us, that's an important part of it.
Definitely.
But I think you are dealing with those
Very
people who just migrated.
That's right.
But many immigrants come, and that's why this condition is rising in the new immigrants more. And as you said, in 2030, this will be the first reason for the death, which is very, very sad. Even when people coming as a new immigrant to Canada, for them it's a big change. And then leaving their comfort level at home, new country, new language, you have to make friends, there's no family support system, and then family back home have high expectation of you. Now you are in Canada, then you can send some money, financial help, because people come for a better life, and people want to give their loved ones a better life.
Definitely.
And how they are adjusting in this country, weather-wise, friendship-wise,
Socially,
and
culturally.
the loneliness kills them too. All these things bring them into that kind of a state. Not everybody is lucky that you will end up meeting good people. People don't know which way to go, how to make friends.
Even like starting a career that
Exactly.
leads to a depression,
Right,
right?
right.
So you have briefly already touched on it, but I was going to request you to shed more light, because we are bringing this in a way to bring awareness to the people that if you're facing this, it's okay too.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe you might want to together from all your experiences and backgrounds that you bring in, like what are the few things that people can relate to that, okay, I'm going through this and it's normal. Like what are the things you might want to,
It's just acceptance, I believe.
Yeah, I think you personally learn to accept, and that it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. And so your personal acceptance, I think, is probably the number one. And then not putting those expectations on yourself that others have put on you. So being able to respond. So that would be a tool that I think that would be helpful for people.
I wanted to add a point to these points that they're absolutely like the right points. But the other thing that we should emphasize on is that the people who are immigrating are not the only one who experience this problems. We should tell everyone that you are not the only one. We are all like together. I mean, based on WHO reports, the extent of the problem is so broad. So we know that everyone it's global, and everyone maybe suffer from this problem. So the point that we emphasize on that you are not alone, you are not the only one who is experiencing these problems, make everyone hope that I'm not alone, we are all together, we will be strong together. So I want to give you some numbers that because of all of this that I may think that I'm the only one who is experiencing problems in my life, or I have some problems to deal with. I don't seek help. I don't seek help because I think that I'm the only one, and maybe I will be like assumed as a weak person or anything. But based on WHO reports, just 2 out of 5 of people who are suffering from a problem about emotional well-being, they seek just help. 2 out of 5. We should talk and we should tell everyone that, oh, I have this problem and I'm seeking help. And if you have this problem, we can talk together, we can communicate, and we can be stronger together. So
I agree with your point, absolutely. So when we have, if we are diagnosed with cancer or with a heart condition, we will immediately go out and seek help. Our family will be there supporting us and saying, okay, what can we do? Whether you're going for chemo, I'll drive you here, I'll take care of you, I'll cook for you.
There will be social support.
There will be a social support because it's physical. And people can see it. And however, if someone has the courage to share an emotional concern or something that's deep inside that is impacting their emotional well-being, people tend to shy away from it. People are not sure how to deal with it. I'm not sure how to help this person. I don't know if this person is going to commit suicide. I don't want to be responsible for those kinds of things.
Right.
So there's
We
always
are
that.
we are not raised that
That's
way.
right. So there is a social stigma across all communities. It's not just the newcomer communities or
Right.
or any or even women for that matter, or even teenage. It's across the board. The stigma that we put on ourselves and the stigma that others put on mental health, or if you want to call it that, or mental well-being, is one that I think has to be first addressed.
Yes, sure.
I think when a child even, let's say, cut himself, a 5-year-old,
Right.
even that child knows to go in the kitchen, get the Band-Aid box out and put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
I think it's the raising of the belief system from very beginning, but nobody talks about their feelings, how you feel, you know,
And how
and
you
I
should
think
deal with
emotional
it.
strength is actually handling your feeling, good or bad, either way. If we start teaching our kids, and as you know, we are saying it's not just the immigrant people's problem. It's not Syrian refugees or other refugees who come to this country. It's not only they are going through the trauma. Every day we feel trauma. Our teenagers look at the world they are facing, which we never faced when we were growing up. I think we have grown up in a very protective and safe environment compared to our kids today's society. They are living in the global community, and the drugs on the road, the internet freedom, and the availability of all sort of bad habits, or whenever they feel bad.
All sorts of vices that they can be exposed to.
For them to go out and instead of talking about it, they will rather drink and waste their
Right.
evening or days or even life for some people.
Right.
It's very sad because I think we are not raised that way, or this is not part of our education from the day one.
And even we are missing what was being done in our families, like that together, getting on
Yes.
the,
The
in the
family
evening
support,
dinners,
yeah,
right?
that's
you talk
right.
and you share, this is what I went through whole day.
And
now
that's why it's
parents are
more-
busy,
Yeah.
kids have their own things to
The
do.
loneliness,
the-
loneliness is more in this country.
Yeah.
When you-
Nobody to talk to.
The things, cliches, that, for lack of a better word, things like a family that prays together stays together, a family that eats
Eat
together
together.
stays together. Those elements of our daily lives are slowly
Separating.
eroding.
Yes.
Because, as Sharon said, our lives have become so busy. We are so tied to those devices that we each of us are dealing. You have one on your lap right now.
Yes. And it's funny sometimes 4 of us sitting in the house and everybody's on their laptop or phone.
Or families have
Yeah.
a television in each of the bedrooms, and everyone is watching
Yeah.
the television in their
And that's the one
this-
reason actually we don't have TV in the bedrooms. And from the day one, we didn't have the TV in our bedroom. And I am grown up in a house where we had our auntie, uncles, grandparents. Now here I come, but there are no grandparents. The gap we are missing in kids' life, and look at all the nursing homes, all the mostly the grandparents or the older people sitting alone, dying with loneliness, and grandkids are suffering here because they don't have anybody to talk to.
The support system.
You know, the support system is gone, and that's why this problem is rising every day.
They
And
say
that is something they need to, think about, seriously think about. The government need to address this issue. The society, the way it's going now, it's going to kill. It's going to kill
They
the
say
youth big
there's
time.
a saying that it takes a village to raise a child,
100%.
and that is so important for us to remember that
Right.
that there are so many elements
Yeah.
that go into. You can't raise a child in loneliness, by yourself. It takes a whole lot of other a support system.
And that's leading to all these cyberbullying because
Yes.
we
All
are,
of
we
them.
are
And the
working on
internet, yes.
after the fact issues
Yes.
which actually arise from, we can fix them from
We're
the
not communicating.
seed. Yes.
The verbal communication, the eye contact,
Is
the
missing.
physical closeness of being
Yes,
are
yes.
so critical in helping us to feel needed, to feel
Right,
wanted.
wanted,
At the end
yes.
of the day, every single person wants to feel needed.
Right.
They want to be
Loved.
feel loved.
Loved.
They want to
Heard.
feel important.
Yes.
That they're making a difference.
Right.
Something else that comes to my mind that I think is often ignored, and you raised it a little bit earlier, is the postpartum depression. From the very beginning, when new moms have a new baby, that often gets ignored. I mean, there is more light being shed on it, but I think that's one area that we need to be talking a lot more, encouraging moms to be aware of what happens to their bodies, because their bodies have changed.
Right.
Getting a new life into your life has a whole lot of other implications. But that's another area that often gets discarded. I mean, we spend a lot of time teaching them how to feed, how to clothe, how to take those first pictures in those first 10 days.
And those prenatal classes.
But we don't talk enough about the
Yes.
postpartum,
all the things
emotional-
mother go through.
what the mom could.
Right.
I'm a grandma, and so when my daughter-in-law had her baby, one of the things that I talked to her about, I said, you need to think about this issue. Be careful about it. It creeps up on you without any warning. So it's something that you need to think about, because all of us have at some point or another experienced that.
Yeah. Thank you.
When I just want to share my own experience about the postnatal depression,
Postpartum.
Yes, and then when I had my first baby, I was in the hospital, and there were so many patients, and somebody was crying so loud, and I said, I just got scared. I thought something happened to the baby or something. The mother was crying, and they said she's going through a depression. And for me, it was a cultural change for me, because I was, 2 years ago I came from India. For me, having babies in the family is the happiest moment. We see in celebrations, we see all the friends, family, everybody coming. And the giving the sweets, and I know, nobody will ask, I seen my mom, when I had little brother, sisters. And I was thinking, why the hell, she's crying when she had the baby. And the funny thing happened after all the celebration, even the hospital, we had so many friends. And I remember one of my husband's colleagues' wife, she came, and she asked me, actually, everybody say, congratulations, and she asked me, Sharon, how you feel now you are a mom? And guess what? I started crying.
Just that sinking feeling
Yeah.
comes in.
Mom.
Somebody is
Yes,
is
she said,
you're
how you
not asking
feel?
about me.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
I
and
know.
that word, how I feel being a mom. And I said, you know what? I said, Mrs. Sharma, this is such a big responsibility. I don't think I can do it. I don't know. I mean, I really don't have any experience. I hope I can raise this child to be a good person, a good citizen. Because if you do something wrong, people will always point fingers toward your mom. Your mom didn't do a good job,
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
So
So there's
we
a-
raised with that sort of thing, and I was thinking, and that time, from that moment on, I think I missed my mom so much, and she was in India. And for the first 2 years, I was writing my mom, a letter every month or 2 months. When my daughter born, I wrote her almost every day. End of the night, I was writing her every day, because the amount of hard work I was doing, I realized my mom really worked so hard.
So you were actually
to
talking
raise
to your
me.
mom, although you were writing letters, but
Yes.
you were actually talking.
Yes.
This is what we need. We need to vent it out.
Vent it
When
out.
we keep on keeping it inside,
Inside.
because people find hobbies like painting, like,
Yes.
Outlets for themselves.
outlets,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
And that's why I brought
And
up
I wrote
cyberbullying.
letters.
People are using that more
So
to get their frustration
now,
out.
Now
right?
the devices that we carry in our hands
Yes.
have become those outlets,
Yes, yes.
and they're the lack of communication,
Yes.
direct communication,
Yes.
has, I think, compounded the mental health wellness.
Yeah. This is very, very interesting conversation we are having, and it's hard for me to, actually bring it to an end, because for sure there's a time limitation we are bounded by. But I would definitely, want to talk to it, and maybe we can
We'll
continue in the next segment that we get here at Multicultural. But maybe quickly, as we have left 30 seconds on the show, I would really want somebody to step on and tell me what do we need, what infrastructure maybe you might want to have our viewers to think about.
I would say that there are huge gaps in the health system in dealing with mental health issues. There just aren't enough supports and resources available. So I would, this being an election year and election time, I would urge politicians, and I would urge ordinary everyday citizens to demand resources and allocation of funds to be able to deal with mental health issues and mental well-being. That would be my.
Did you guys want to add something?
I just want to add to encourage everyone to open up and talk about the situation. I guess if the more that we talk, especially those that are high-profile people, the more other people would feel comfortable to talk about and bring up the issue.
Thank you.
And I would say, to start talking with yourself first and see how you feel, where you are. If nobody's there to listen, at least start writing. Remember your good deeds, and forgive yourself first. If we all make mistakes, and there's no judge out there. You need to forgive yourself first, and start with a clear head, and make new friends. Try to make new friends. When you hear about other people's problems, issues, or you become a good listener, you make good friends too, because people will talk to only people who are interested in their life and show some interest. So that's all I will say.
Definitely. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. It was really wonderful conversations we had. And thank you for Multicultural and AWOW for hosting this show. We look forward to talk to you all soon.
Thank you, Jyoti, for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.